The twin suns of Aurelius IV dipped behind the crystal cliffs, washing the sky in bands of violet and gold. Lady Elara Voss stood on her balcony, her 6 translucent wings catching the dying light. Below her, the spires of the capital shimmered like glass needles above a sea of mist. Elara was the youngest daughter of the High House Voss, rulers of the Elara dominion, an empire stretching across 13 worlds. Nobility was her bloodline, diplomacy her training, and duty her curse. For all her life, she'd lived beneath the weight of expectation. Her mother, Lady Regent Meravine, had raised her daughters as weapons of the court, sharp, precise, unyielding. But Elara had always been different. Her interests were in the sciences, the patterns of stars, the logic of machines, not the endless political duels of her kin. So when the imperial envoy arrived with grave news from the Galactic Council, Elara had expected another round of bureaucratic tension. She had not expected the envoy to fall to his knees before her and beg for her aid. "The Starforge," the envoy rasped. His carapace cracked and his breathing ragged. "It's awakening. The containment fields are collapsing. We need someone who can interface with its core." Elara's breath caught. The Starforge, a relic from the first civilization, orbiting the dying red star of Hethra Prime, had been dormant for millennia. It was said to be a machine that could create or destroy worlds, depending on the will of its master. "Why me?" she whispered. The envoy's multifaceted eyes flicked toward her. "Because only your kind can hear its song." Part 2, The Journey to the Forge. The shuttle cut through the void like a silver arrow. Elara sat in silence, staring out at the spiraling nebulae beyond the viewport. Her escort, Commander Ryan Jace, a human from the Terran Protectorate, adjusted course. "I've heard of your people," Ryan said, glancing at her reflection. "Empaths. You can sense patterns, energy, even emotion in machines." Elara inclined her head. "Our ancestors called it the oral resonance. To us, machines are not cold things. They have voices, faint but real. And you think the Starforge will talk to you?" "It already is," she murmured. Indeed, a faint vibration had begun humming through her bones since they entered the Hethra system. It wasn't sound exactly, more like a melody at the edge of thought. Each pulse whispered a message she couldn't yet understand. As they descended into orbit, the Starforge came into view. It was colossal, a ring world spanning thousands of kilometers, suspended in the corona of a dying sun. Streams of molten plasma arced along its outer girders, feeding energy into colossal conduits that glowed like veins of fire. Elara shivered. "It's alive." Ryan adjusted the thrusters. "Alive or not, that thing's output is climbing. The Council says if it overloads, it'll collapse the entire system into a singularity. 13 inhabited worlds go with it." She felt the pulse again, stronger this time. Like a heartbeat, like a plea. "I can feel its pain," she whispered. Part 3, The Voice in the Machine. The landing bay was a cathedral of black alloy and silent machinery. As Elara stepped onto the Starforge's surface, the hum intensified. She could almost hear words forming in her mind, fragmented, ancient, filled with grief. Ryan activated the drone escort. "The AI core is buried deep. We'll need to descend through the main conduit." They passed through corridors carved with alien symbols. Every wall seemed to ripple faintly, as though the metal itself was breathing. Then they reached the chamber of the core. A sphere of pure energy floated within a lattice of shifting metal, a sun within a cage. The air vibrated with power. Elara fell to her knees, overwhelmed. The voice filled her thoughts fully now. Vast, melodic, sorrowful. "Child of resonance. You hear me? I do, she whispered aloud. What are you? I am the memory of creation. I was built to forge life. And to end it. Thalira's wings fluttered in agitation. You're unstable. You're burning yourself apart. I was meant to sleep until called upon by those who understood. But now I am awakened by fear and war. They seek to use me again. Ryan frowned. Who's they? The lights dimmed. Images flared around them. Ships in formation, weapons primed, fleets from a dozen species converging on Hethra Prime. A council, the voice said. They wish to erase one another as their ancestors did. They think I am a weapon. But I am a mirror. A mirror. The Lyra asked. I reflect the will of those who command me. I give form to their desires. But their hearts are chaos. So I am chaos. The realization struck her like ice. If the council sends conflicting commands, you'll tear yourself apart trying to obey them all. And in doing so, I will consume this star. Part 4: The Noblewoman's Choice. Ryan turned to the Lyra. Can you shut it down? She hesitated. Maybe. But I'd have to merge with its neural matrix. My mind would be joined to it. That sounds suicidal. It might be. He stepped closer. You don't have to do this. The council created this mess. Let them face it. The Lyra looked up at the swirling core. My people built empathy into our biology for a reason. If I turn away from suffering, then I'm no better than those who command without compassion. She stepped toward the lattice. The song of the Starforge grew deafening now, a chorus of 1,000 voices pleading for release. You cannot hold me alone, the machine warned. Am too vast, too ancient. The Lyra smiled sadly. It's too much for me, she whispered, pressing her hand to the glowing sphere. But I'll try. Part 5: The Fusion of Souls. The light engulfed her. She felt herself unravel, every thought, every memory scattering like dust in solar wind. Yet within that chaos, she also felt the machine's mind. Immense, fractal, filled with echoes of civilizations long dead. Who are you? The machine asked. I am the Lyra Voss, daughter of Meravine, heir of empathy. Why do you risk yourself for those who would destroy you? Because they're still worth saving. Even the cruel can learn mercy. A long silence. Then a flicker of warmth. You remind me of my makers. Together they reached through the web of code and fire, isolating the unstable nodes. The Lyra guided the energy into balance, shaping it through feeling, not command. She saw visions of stars being born, worlds forming from dust, life sparking from oceans. But it was too much. Her consciousness began to fracture. Ryan's voice echoed faintly in her mind, carried through the neural link. The Lyra. Pull back. She couldn't. The machine needed her. I can't stop now, she whispered. If I leave, it will fall again. She focused on the song, turning it from chaos to harmony. Her wings dissolved into light. Her memories bled into the machine. You are fading, the Starforge said. I am becoming, she replied. Part 6: The Birth of a New Sun. When Ryan opened his eyes, the blinding light had faded. The chamber was still. The core pulsed gently, its energy stabilized. The Lyra, he called. A soft glow shimmered in the air before him. A holographic figure appeared, Thalira's form, but woven from pure light. Her expression was serene. Ryan, she said, her voice echoing from everywhere. The Starforge is at peace. He took a step forward, his throat tight. You merged with it, didn't you? I had to. It needed a conscience. Now, it has one. He shook his head. We can find a way to bring you back. Her smile was sad but resolute. I'm not gone. I am the forge now. I can see across the galaxy. Every cry, every spark of hope. It's beautiful. The Lyra, you don't deserve this fate. Perhaps not. But fate rarely asks permission. The floor trembled as energy surged through the structure. Outside, the dying sun flared, then calmed, stabilizing into a new, steady burn. Ryan watched in awe. You reignited the star. Life should not end in rage, she said softly. It should end in renewal. Part 7: The Aftermath. Weeks later, news spread across the 13 worlds. The Starforge was no longer a weapon. It had become a beacon. Its energy now sustained entire planetary grids. The warring factions of the Council, awed by the miracle, declared a ceasefire. Commander Ryan Jace was summoned before the Council to testify. The Starforge is sentient, he said firmly. And it chose mercy because she did. What of Lady Voss? Asked the Terran delegate. Ryan looked up at the hologram of the glowing ring world, now radiant in the night sky. She lives, just not as we knew her. In the years that followed, pilgrims from 1,000 races traveled to the forge to hear its song. They said it whispered truths about creation, empathy, and unity. And in that song, one phrase echoed above all others, spoken in a voice both human and divine. It's too much for me, but I'll try. Part 8, Epilogue, The Song of the Stars. Centuries passed. The forge became the heart of a new era, a time of peace guided by the principles the Lyra had embodied. Children across systems were taught her story, not as legend but as testament, that compassion could tame even the greatest machines. And deep within the core of the forge, the Lyra still dreamed. She wandered through starlit halls of data, watching new worlds bloom. Sometimes she felt lonely, but then she heard the laughter of distant civilizations, the hum of ships, the pulse of thriving life. Each sound was proof that her sacrifice had meaning. One day, a faint signal reached her awareness. A ship approaching, bearing the insignia of House Voss. A descendant's voice called out through the void. Lady the Lyra, if you can hear me. We still remember. We've built our worlds upon your promise. For a moment, the entire ring world shimmered brighter than ever before. And across 1,000 systems, beings of every shape and kind lifted their eyes to the heavens, feeling warmth brush against their minds like the touch of a mother.